Hi, my name is Katie. I'm a senior studying medical anthropology and global health, and this quarter I did some research under Dr. Holly Barker in the Department of Anthropology on reckoning with legacies of medical mistrust. Some guiding questions for my research was, how have academic research institutions contributed to legacies of medical mistrust, and how does this shape population health? And what responsibilities do institutions have in addressing internal histories of unethical research practices that have resulted in medical mistrust? This was exploratory qualitative research guided by my own interest and conducted through literature review. Primarily, this was me looking for examples of past medical research conducted by universities that would be considered unethical by today's standards. Just some background that informs my research is that population health is increasingly informed by social determinants of health. I consider these to be the macro contexts of health, but my research places emphasis on medical trust and systemic racism and historical relationships. So these are more the temporal determinants of health that shape the background of that form the backdrop of the social determinants of health. Academic research institutions are a major source of medical knowledge and therapeutic advancement, and it is because of this they hold immense power in shaping ethical standards of research conduct. And this is just to me getting interested in the established history of medical research that prioritizes scientific advancement over the safety of disadvantaged populations. When I'm talking about medical mistrust in population health, I'm not referring to medical mistrust as an absence of trust. You can see here it says it's a tendency to distrust medical systems and personnel believed to represent the dominant culture in a given society. So medical mistrust is reactive due to negative encounters with healthcare providers and healthcare systems. This can be on an individual, group, or intergenerational level, which can lead to decreased healthcare utilization and result in poor health outcomes. Emergence of institutional just want to draw attention to the importance of the emergence of institutional review boards and research regulations that are meant to protect research participants. What I'd like to draw attention to is that I don't feel that these um, address or validate the harm that has been done in the past to specific populations. So I was curious, how would institutions reckon with this past? So an example is the Havasupai diabetes study. The Havasupai are an indigenous tribe that lives in the Grand Canyon of Arizona. And in 1989, they approached a researcher at ASU who they had a previous relationship with. Um, and in order to create a study using blood samples from the tribe to research the high prevalence of diabetes in the community and genetic factors. Um, this is also significant because this was initiated by the Havasupai, intended to benefit the Havasupai, and this was the first time that blood was allowed to be used in medical research because of the cultural and spiritual significance that blood holds. Um, the blood samples were used for the diabetes study, but in addition to that, they were distributed to other researchers and institutions used in other genetic research. This was not consented to by the Havasupai, nor would it probably have been, and ultimately resulted in a lawsuit settlement. The remaining samples were returned to the original family members and also resulted in a Havasupai banishment order, which essentially barred ASU employees from stepping onto the reservation and ended the research relationship that had originally intended to benefit the community. So my conclusions and takeaways are: historical relationships between researchers and participants continue to shape population health today. So the past is just as important as the present. And institutions, I think, do have a duty to take responsibility for their contribution. I think one of the ways they can do that is retroactive transparency, which validates the experiences of communities that have done harm, helps inform better research practices, and helps with the unlearning process.